Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about loans, good and bad. But first things I want to talk about is APY. Whenever I'm going to be talking about APY, I'm referring to annual percentage yield. That's basically interest on your investment. Let's say you get loaned $1,000 with the 20% APY. That means by the end of the year, if you're going to pay off that $1,000 right away, you're going to accumulate $200 in interest. So you're going to pay off, instead of 1,000, you're going to pay off 1,200. And if you think about it, it's kind of like a scam, especially with higher yield interest. If you're paying 5% APY, that's not that much. 5% is all right. A lot of mortgages right now, they're giving, we could call it interest, but I'll call it APY. 6% interest aroundish right now for mortgages. It's all right, it's decent. First thing, we're going to look about bad debt. Bad debt is anything over a certain APY. And I'll say anything over 10% APY, in my perspective, is kind of bad, because you're basically paying a little too much in interest over a long period of time. And also, anything to do with credit cards, they're usually over 10% APY, because we talked about them in the previous video. They want to make their money back somehow, and they charge a higher APY on purpose. Credit cards are bad loans. Just remember just to pay them off in full by the end of the month. If you can't pay it off in full, I mean, you're stuck with a bad loan. And also, any car loans, I would say they're bad. Don't get car loans. Most car loans are bad. We'll just put it like this. For the average Joe, car loans are bad for him. Let's just put it that way. Because car loans also have a higher interest. But yes, you could get like 15% interest, but most car loans, if not every car loan, is bad. You're paying all this interest for nothing. Your car depreciates in value. It's a depreciating asset. Bad loans are anything that's backed by a bad asset. Either a bad asset or no asset. Yes, we consider a car an asset in this economy, but I would say it's a bad asset because it loses value over time. Same as technology. Technology loses value over time. And credit cards, if you have money on a credit card, you bought something previously, so it's not even backed by anything. So a loan that's backed by nothing, let's say you took out a 10K loan, if it's backed by nothing, you're kind of stuck with it. Now let's look at good loans. What are even good loans? I have multiple examples of what good loans are. A good loan is anything that's backed by a good asset. Anything with a good loan is usually lower interest. Let's say a mortgage. Mortgages are around 6%. How about credit cards are 23%? So let's say 20, 15. Car loans are also pretty high. But a mortgage on a house is around like 6% right now. I had a client recently that got pre-approved for 6 point something, 6.5 I think, but I think that's a little too much. So we're gonna try to get that lower. And you decide to take out a loan against this stuff. You decide to take out a $50,000 loan. The bank will loan you that money and use that as collateral. If you default on your loan, they will take that asset. They will steal it, we could say, and just keep it for themselves because you're not paying your loan off. So obviously in a good loan scenario, when you're backing it up with an asset, make sure you're paying off the loan, because you could lose the asset. Especially, that's how foreclosures happen. If the person stops paying off the loan on the home, he stops paying his mortgage or something, the bank will come in and foreclose on the property and take it for themselves and then sell it and get their money back. Now, in the previous video, I said something along the lines of, you could get a loan for like, let's say 4% with a good asset and use that money to buy a different asset. So now you have two assets. Now you're chilling with two assets. Let's get the stock and bond example again. Let's say we take out $50,000 loan on our stocks and bonds again, and they're worth around 100K. We could probably find somewhere where they give us a good percentage of like 3 or 4% because you're using 100K worth of collateral to loan out only, take out only 50K. So they have around 100K of collateral, so they could use that money and give you a lower interest. You take that money and you put it back into the stock market. Yes, you need to pay off that loan, but the point is not to pay it off. Conservatively speaking, you're making around 8%. It could be averaging 15, 20%, depending on what year it is. Or you could go net negative for the year. But average is around 8%. And you're paying 4% on interest on the 50K loan. So you're making a 4% spread. You're making 4% a year on your money. Yeah, with 4% of 50,000, it's not that much. You're making 2,000 a year, which comes out roughly around $100 a month, which is still decent, depending on the situation. But there is bonds that pay up to 5-4%. There's bonds, maybe they're more riskier, that pay like 10%, 11%. And let's say you put it into a bond that pays you 11%. Now you're profiting around, just so for the sake of the argument, let's say they're paying you 10%. Now let's just do 10%. 10% they're paying you on this bond. That bond stays around one price. That's 5,000 a year you're making on these 50,000. Yes, you took out a loan and you're paying 4%, but you're making a 6% money. That's ways you could use and leverage loans. Remember, discern what kind of loan you have, good or bad. Before you even lock yourself into a loan, make sure to think thoroughly of what loan this is going to be, good or bad. Is it going to be a good loan? Is it going to help advance my life or not? And if you're deciding to buy a car on a loan, make sure to think 5 times before you do so, 7 times, I don't know. Run the math in your head. Make sure you don't go into the dealership without a clear plan, because if you walk in there, they're going to catch you on a hook and make sure you buy a car. And you could lock yourself in such a loan that's going to be really devastating to your financial life. Make sure to look and understand the loan. Obviously, if you're buying a house, I'm not saying you should go buy cash. Not many people have the cash to buy a home like that. But really think about it. Am I getting this for just my pleasure? This is all I have basically for today. Make sure just to keep it in check. And if you have money that's just sitting around not doing anything, obviously make sure your money works for you and not you for your money. 4 or 5% is usually something like the bare minimum. Like high yield savings accounts will pay you that much. So as of now, guys, that's all I have for today, and ka-chow.